ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Sura Al Baqara verse 282. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا تداينتم بدين. This is the longest verse in the Quran. It is about financial contracts. It starts with the contract of loan. إذا تداينتم بدين. When you contracted a loan إلى أجل مسمى, with a specified term, with a fixed term. إلى أجل مسمى. So the term is fixed, is for example for 2 months, for 3 months, for 2 years. Now if you had such a contract, فاكتبوه, write it down. Some people, they just make contracts verbally without writing and recording. But Quran says no, it should be recorded. وَلْيَكْتُبْ بَيْنَكُمْ كَاتِبٌ بِالْعَدْلِ. Okay, among jurists, we have this discussion whether this command is an obligation or a recommendation. The fuqaha, the jurisprudence, based on the references in narrations interpreting this verse, they concluded that it is a recommendation. وَلْيَكْتُبْ بَيْنَكُمْ كَاتِبٌ بِالْعَدْلِ. So the scribe, the one who writes, must write it rightfully, with justice, without adding or omitting anything. ولا يأبى كاتب أن يكتب كما علمه الله. No katib is the scribe, the writer. No scribe should refuse, because especially those days, many people, they were not able to read and write, so they needed the scribes to write for them those contracts. So they shouldn't refuse. كما أن يكتب كما علمه الله. The way God taught him. So it's a mercy from God. God gave this mercy to this person. He has the knowledge now, so he should share his knowledge with others. He should benefit others by recording the contracts for them. فليكتب وليملل الذي عليه الحق. So who has the responsibility to record? الذي عليه الحق. So the debtor, he has this responsibility. He must write, or فليملل. Imlal and imla are the same, they have the same meaning, to dictate. So either the person writes or dictates to another person who writes. وَلْيَتَّقِ اللَّهَ رَبَّهُ, should be God wary. وَلَا يَبْخَسْ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. Bakhs means a naqs, to decrease, to deduct. He should not deduct anything from it. So if he must pay, for example, 50 dirhams, 50 dinars, $50, he must not write 40, 50. لا يبخس منه شيئا. فإن كان الذي عليه الحق سفيها أو ضعيفا أو لا يستطيع أن يمل. So in case the person, the debtor, upon whom there is, a claim, al-haq, a right. Now this person, if he is safi, is feeble-minded, or da'if. Da'if is interpreted by some exegetes of the Quran as someone who is very old, so that he cannot dictate, for example, even. Or a person, a child, and a minor who has not reached the age of puberty. So in case the debtor is a child, or is safi, is feeble-minded, or la yastati'u an yumil, or he is not able to dictate because, for example, he is dumb, he doesn't have the ability to speak. So فَلْيُمْلِلْ وَلِيُّهُ بِالْعَدْلِ. In this case, his guardian must do this job. His guardian, the guardian of the child, the guardian of that feeble-minded person, or the agent of this person who is dumb, he must dictate. واستشهدوا شهيدين من رجالكم, and you should take two witnesses from among men. فإن لم يكونا رجلين فرجل وامرأتان. If there are not two men, so one man and two women. And this is one of the laws in the chapter of shahadat in the books of fiqh. ممن ترضون من الشهداء, from the witnesses that you are satisfied with. أن تظل إحداهما فتذكر إحداهما الأخرى. Why two women? It explains the reason that in case one of them errs, makes a mistake, the other one reminds her. ولا يأبى الشهداء إذا ما دعوا. When the witnesses are invited, when they are called, they should not refuse. A person may say, okay, I don't want, it's a burden, I don't want to do it. No, you must help others by accepting their invitation. ولا تسأموا أن تكتبوه. Don't be reluctant to write and to record these contracts. صغيرا أو كبيرا. Be it small or big. Don't say, no, it's not a big amount of money, so there is no need to record it. No, even if it is small, record them. إلى أجله. Ajal means the term of that contract, the term of that loan. ذلكم أقسط عند الله. It's closer to justice. أقوم للشهادة. It is when you record this, then in the future, if you need to testify, that's easier also. It makes the testimony also easier. وأدنى ألا ترتابوا. Also, you will not be in doubt in the future, because sometimes you make have a contract, but in the future you may forget some details, and then you will have doubts about the details of those contracts. But if you record, then you will not have doubts in the future. إلا أن تكون تجارة حاضرة تديرونها بينكم. Okay, there is an exception. In this case, you don't need to write down. So recording is not instructed in this particular case. Which case? تجارة حاضرة. If there is on the spot deal. Now just for example, you go to the shop, you buy something, a piece of bread, and you pay for it and you take the bread. Okay, it's this type of trades. You don't need to record. فليس عليكم جناح ألا تكتبوها. There is no blame upon you if you don't write such contracts. وأشهدوا إذا تبايعتم. Again, this part of the ayah is a recommendation toward taking witnesses for the contracts. ولا يضار كاتب ولا شهيد. So the scribe and the witness, they must not be harmed. Sometimes probably because you need someone to write for you, or you need someone to witness the contract, you may bother them, you may go to them in not in the right time. So no, you should not harm them. They should not be harmed. Katib, Shahid, they should not be harmed. وَإِن تَفْعَلُوا فَإِنَّهُ فُسُوقٌ بِكُمْ. If you do that, it's a sin, إثم, فسوق. It's a deviation from the right path. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. In the next ayah, which is again about financial matters, Allah talks about one specific case in which writing and recording is not possible. And that is when you travel and you want to have a contract with another person in the journey, and then you don't find anyone to write. Especially in the past, when you imagine those times when the rate of literacy was very low, it was very common that in the journeys they did not have enough people who could write and read in the caravan. So now in that case, what to do? وَإِن كُنْتُمْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ وَلَمْ تَجِدُوا كَاتِبًا. So if you were traveling and you couldn't find any scribe, anyone who can write, فَرِهَانٌ مَقْبُودًا. Now what is the alternative. Rihan. Rihan is the plural of rahn. Rahn means pledge. So the pledge is the alternative. Now you can take a pledge from the person, from the debtor. So the creditor can take a pledge from the debtor. فَرِهَانٌ مَقْبُوضَةٌ. Maqbuda means that that pledge, that rahn, must be taken possession of. And in jurisprudence, we see that one of the conditions of validity of rahn pledge is taking possession. So the collateral must be handed over to the person, and the other person must take possession of it. So in that case, it is valid. فَرِهَانٌ مَقْبُوضَةٌ فَإِنْ أَمِنَ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا فَلْيُؤَدِّ الَّذِي اؤْتُمِنَ أَمَانَتَهُ. So in case that the creditor says, no, I don't need any pledge, I don't need a rahn, so I trust you. So if one trusted another person, فَلْيُؤَدِّ الَّذِي اؤْتُمِنَ أَمَانَتَهُ. So the entrusted person, the debtor, must return the trust. فَلْيُؤَدِّ أَمَانَتَهُ. Trust here means the money that he must pay back, the debt, okay? That the claim that he must pay back to the creditor. But it is called amana because he was entrusted over it. فَلْيُؤَدِّ الَّذِي اؤْتُمِنَ أَمَانَتَهُ وَلْيَتَّقِ اللَّهَ رَبَّهُ. He must be God wary. وَلَا تَكْتُمُوا الشَّهَادَةَ وَمَنْ يَكْتُمْهَا فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبُهُ. This ayah says that kitman al-shahada, to hide, to conceal the testimony, that is a sin. فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبُهُ. The person who hides it, who doesn't speak it, okay, he's not doing anything, but this is a sin in itself. His heart is committing a sin by hiding and by concealing this fact. وَاللَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ عَلِيمٌ. لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Everything in the heavens, in the earth belongs to Allah. وَإِن تُبْدُوا مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَوْ تُخْفُوهُ يُحَاسِبْكُم بِهِ اللَّهُ. The first sentence, لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ, explains the second sentence and gives the cause for the second sentence. The second sentence says, if you disclose what is in your souls, in your hearts, in your chests, أَوْ تُخْفُوهُ, or if you hide it, it makes no difference, okay? يُحَاسِبْكُم بِهِ اللَّهُ. God holds you accountable for that. God counts it, okay? God monitors everything which is there. So why? Because لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Because we already explained that everything in the heavens and in the earth belongs to Him. So He has knowledge of everything. It doesn't make any difference whether you hide it or you disclose it. Now a question arises. إِن تُبْدُوا مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَوْ تُخْفُوهُ. There is something in my heart which I'm going to be held accountable for that according to this verse. But probably I have no intention to do something bad. Sometimes an imagination may come to my mind without my intention. Probably an immoral act, a sin, something like that may occur in my mind. Am I going to be held responsible for that in the Day of Judgment, according to this verse? Because ma fi anfusikum, whatever is in my soul, is in my heart, even hidden, that also is a matter of responsibility. Allah Tabai says no, because this ayah says in tubdu ma fi anfusikum. We should pay attention to the word fi, something which is within your soul. So an imagination, an idea which comes to my mind without my decision, without my intention, something that occurs in my mind without my control. It is not something rooted and established in my soul, right? But this ayah says ma fi anfusikum. It doesn't say ma yakhturu bi balikum, for example, what comes to your mind. No, what is within your souls. So it must refer to those vices and virtues which are rooted in my heart, those decisions that I make in my soul. See, something which is established, deeply rooted in me. That is something that is the matter of responsibility. That is the subject of responsibility. So, in tubdu ma fi anfusikum aw tukhfuh yuhasibkum bihillah. Then a second question comes to mind. Now, what about the intention of a wrong act? Someone decides and intends to commit a sin, but he doesn't commit it finally. We know that in the Day of Judgment, God does not punish those people who just had the intention to do something wrong without actualizing that intention. But this ayah says, "In tubdu ma fi anfusikum aw tukhfuh." This is what was hidden in my heart, and I should be accountable for that according to this ayah. Allah says, okay, this type of thoughts, we cannot exclude it the way we did regarding the previous one. But this ayah doesn't say يُعَذِّبْكُمْ بِهِ. No, يُحَاسِبْكُمْ بِهِ. God counts everything. So now God knows, and God even holds you accountable for that, but it doesn't mean that He will punish you over it. He may show that to you, but He will not punish you for that. And ayah continues, فَيَغْفِرُ لَمَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيُعَذِّبُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. God forgives many things. So those intentions, those bad and evil intentions, God, He Himself has promised that I will not punish people over their intentions. So يُعَذِّبُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ, God punishes whoever He wishes. So these people who had evil intentions, but they were not able to actualize it, okay, they will not be punished, but they are subject to muhasaba. They are not subject to adhab. Wallahu ala kulli shay'in qadir. Allah under this verse also talks about other verses in the Quran that talk about the sins of heart. Sometimes my heart may commit a sin. So I don't commit a sin by my limbs, by my members of the body, my physical body, but I may commit a sin by my heart. One of examples is the previous verse, فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبُهُ, hiding a shahada, to conceal a shahada, kitmanu shahada, فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبُهُ, his heart has committed a sin. This is one example. And other examples also in the Quran. For example, لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم ولكن يؤاخذكم بما كسبت قلوبكم. In Sura Al Baqara we had this ayah that God يؤاخذكم for what? ما كسبت قلوبكم, for what your hearts have acquired. It means the evil that they have acquired through breaking the oath. Or for example, another verse, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُحِبُّونَ أَن تَشِيعَ الْفَاحِشَةَ, those people who love the sinful acts to be spread among people. So it doesn't say those who spread it. No, those who love this to be spread. So even the love of evil is something which is subject to, this ayah, إن الذين يحبون أن تشيع الفاحشة في الذين آمنوا لهم عذاب أليم. Or إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا. You see, it talks about the responsibility of السمع, ears, والبصر, eyes, والفؤاد, the heart. So heart also is responsible as the bodily limbs are responsible. Let's continue and go to the next verse. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون. This ayah, according to Allah Ta'ala, is the conclusion of the whole Surah Al Baqara. In Surah Al Baqara we started with describing muttaqeen, then kuffar, the disbelievers, and then munafiqeen, hypocrites. And then after that, there was a long number of verses about Ahlul Kitab, especially the Jews, and the way they treated divine rulings and the ungratefulness that they showed toward God's mercies. Now in the conclusion says Quran, in comparing to other people, comparing to those disbelievers or the people of the book, Quran says that al-mu'minun, the Muslim community, they have faith in Allah. Even if they sometimes commit sins and make mistakes, they repent, they return to God, and they keep that faith in Allah. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون. The prophets and the believers, they all have faith in what is revealed from Allah. Why Ar-Rasul is separated from Al-Mu'minun? Ar-Rasul is one of Mu'minun, Ar-Rasul is one of the believers. So Aman al-Mu'minun is enough. If God says Al-Mu'minun, the believers, they believe in what is revealed from Allah. But Ar-Rasul is separately mentioned in order to honor the prophets. And this is not the only case in the Quran. Several cases, several times in the Quran, we see that when a fact is mentioned about the community of believers, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioned separately. For example, يَوْمَ لَا يُخْزِي اللَّهُ النَّبِيَّ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. The day God will not disgrace the Prophet and the believers. أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ سَكِينَتَهُ عَلَى رَسُولِهِ وَعَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. God sent down the tranquility on the Prophet and on the believers. See, separately they are mentioned. كُلٌّ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. All they believed in Allah, in the angels, in the scriptures, in the messengers. لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله. لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله. We make no distinction between any of the messengers of Allah. Because some followers of the prophets, unfortunately, they made distinction. They believed in some and denied some. But the believers, they say, we believe in all of them. وَقَالُوا سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. Now again, they show their obedience to Allah, listening to His orders, غُفْرَانَكَ رَبَّنَا, and they demand and they ask for Allah's forgiveness. Here you see, لَا نُفَرِّقُ is a statement made by the believers, but this quotation is not preceded by the word قَالُوا. So قَالُوا لَا نُفَرِّقُ. It must say, they said لَا نُفَرِّقُ. They said we make no distinction. But قَالُوا is not mentioned here. Allah says probably because لَا نُفَرِّقُ was something not verbally expressed by them. It was something that was clear from their behavior. It was known from the way they treated, that they don't make any distinction between the prophets. But the second one, سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا, was something that they verbally expressed. That is why it is preceded by the word قَالُوا. They said سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. And the last verse of Surah Al Baqara, لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا. It shows that the responsibilities that are obliged by God upon the servants, upon the people, it's in accordance and in harmony with their capacity. وُسْعَهَا. No one is to be obliged to do something beyond his ability, beyond his capacity. So this phrase is a key phrase for understanding the coming sentences. Because in the coming sentences, we may see examples of some responsibilities and obligations which are beyond the capacity of a person. But because this fact is presented in the beginning of the verse, so all other sentences must be interpreted in line with the first sentence. For example, in the coming sentences, we have لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا, right? لا تؤاخذنا, you see now, لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. It talks about the cases of error, mistake, and forgetting something. But you know that a mistake, unintentional mistake or forgetting is something beyond my control. So should I ask God not to punish me over them? I mean, is He going to punish me over them? And isn't it something beyond my capacity, beyond my ability? Allama Tabatabai explains that there are cases of mistake and forgetting that is due to my own, we can say, wrong choices. Because the person has done something wrong in the beginning and finally it ended in forgetting a responsibility or making a mistake. So not all akhta, mistakes, are something that I'm accountable for, but there are among them some of them which are caused by my wrong acts in the past. Those ones, yes, they are not beyond my capacity. I should have distanced myself from those sins so that it would not end in such cases of nisyan and khata. Or for example, ayah continues, لا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. Isr is something very heavy, a heavy burden. Don't put on us a heavy burden like the one you did to the people before us. So isn't it something beyond the capacity of the person? We know in the other verses of the Quran, God has explained that, for example, Israelites, because of their sins, God punished them with some heavy obligations, something unbearable. So if that is a punishment, then it makes sense. You see, a person, a servant of God, is not to be obliged to do something beyond his capacity. But if he does something wrong, if he commits a sin, now as a punishment for his sin, he may be obliged to do something very difficult and unbearable. So this is not against that fact. Or لا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به. Don't impose a burden on us which is beyond our capacity. But in the beginning we said that nothing beyond the capacity is imposed on anyone. Here Allah says it may refer to the punishment, not to an obligation. So probably it's, for example, referring to those punishments which were done to the people before, like those people of Sabbath, those who violated the holiness of the day of the Saturday, and then after that they were punished, severe punishment, something which is beyond the capacity of man. But that is a punishment, that is not an obligation. We are talking about responsibilities and obligations and prohibitions. Those will not be beyond the capacity of a person, but the punishment may be. وَاعْفُ عَنَّا وَاغْفِرْ لَنَا وَارْحَمْنَا أَنْتَ مَوْلَانَا فَانْصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ وَبَرَكَاتُهُ.